I was up either too late or too early. No way to tell without counting the empty shot glasses on my desk, and I'd learned by now that there was nothing I could count on. Liberty City. People came here to be free, to pull themselves out of the gutter. What they got most of the time was a nicer gutter. If I didn't get a job soon, the gutter was where I'd be living. I was 2 months behind on the rent 3 months ago. What I needed was a case. Yeah?
Mixcuda, I hope I haven't come after office hours.
This city never sleeps. Why should I?
Good, good. The name's Red.
First or last?
Mr. Red, thank you. I need some discreet help with a private matter.
A guy or a doll?
It's a business matter. You know the Capital Group?
How can I not? They practically run this town.
Are you familiar with the statuette known as the America?
I heard of it.
It's a small green figure about so high.
What's it made of?
Dreams.
Okay.
It's been on display in City Hall for a long time. You sure you've never seen it?
Maybe I have, maybe I haven't.
All right. Mixcuda, I've been attempting to buy America from the Capital Group for years. We finally negotiated a price, and we're ready to make the sale. Last night, the statue was stolen.
Sounds like a job for the police.
Come now, Mixcuda. You know the police in this city.
Yeah, I do. You do too. That's why you want to hire me.
To find the missing America, yes. I believe this will be adequate compensation for your services.
You put a 0 on the end of that, sure.
Naturally, the city will also issue a reward for bringing them a suspect.
You mean for finding the thief?
All they need is a suspect. Our police can get a confession out of anyone, guilty or innocent.
Oh! You have a lot to learn about how to treat a lady. I suppose you want a confession. Fine. Are you sitting comfortably? Then let's begin. Everyone knows that the Capital Group, the capitalists, own America. Oh, they put it on display and pretend it belongs to all of us. But when push comes to shove, they always remind us who the actual owners are. Mr. Red had always worked for them in some capacity or other, but recently he had been moving to take sole ownership.
City Hall was a warren of bureaucrats. I had to admire a thief who could get through the maze of offices without getting caught in a web of red tape. There was no sign of forced entry. I suspected an inside job, but I wanted a second opinion. Scratches on the lock seemed to fit a pattern, but these days I was seeing more patterns than a seamstress in a fabric store.
I'm surprised that nobody noticed what Red and his team were up to. Let me rephrase that. I'm surprised that so few people recognize that Team Red was a threat to the city. Reporters should have been talking about it for years, but Red and the Capital Group own all the newspapers in town, and Red's buddy Sinclair owns all the TV stations too. All except one.
You're getting careless, Doc. Your door was unlocked.
You're assuming I wanted it locked, Mixcuda. My television station attracts all kinds of creators, and I wouldn't want a lock to get in their way.
You should keep it locked. This city's in a bad neighborhood.
I heard about the theft at City Hall. America taken. I knew someone would call you in.
What made you think that?
Everyone knows what the police are like, and you are the best flatfoot around.
Now, where are arch supports now? Take a look at these photos.
Key scratches on the lock.
That's it?
That's it. You didn't need me to tell you that. Why are you here?
I've fallen off the wagon, Doc. I need another you-know-what.
Sam, I like you, but I remember what happened last time.
I wasn't around to pick up the pieces.
Come on. I'm more careful now. I can handle it. Besides, you owe me after that business with the watermelons.
That I do. All right, Sam. A little more exotic than last time, but I think you'll agree it has its charms.
That's exactly what I hoped for. Will you wrap it for me?
Of course. I don't want you to break it like the last one. But I must warn you, you're collecting teapots. At some point you will have too many.
That's the thing.
Get out.
The thing is, for people like Mr. Red, enough is never enough. He had a good partnership with the Capital Group. It made them both rich. But they paid a lot of taxes, which built things like schools and roads and hospitals, so that the people who live here could have good lives. Red didn't like that. He's the sort of person who isn't happy unless someone else is miserable. Makes him feel superior. So he worked with the Capital Group to undermine the city government. Less tax money for things people like or need. That means more people living precariously. People in precarious situations are easier to control. To keep people under control, you send more tax money to cops. And you tell people you fight crime.
The security guard that night was a mook named Banks. At least if I was reading a day guard's handwriting correctly. To me, it looked like an EKG of a man having a heart attack on a roller coaster.
Yeah?
I'm looking for a Robert A. Banks.
That's Roberta. I go by Rob.
Sorry, and bad handwriting.
That's Don's handwriting. Is this about last night at City Hall?
Yes, ma'am, it is. I'm Sam Gouda, private investigator. You're number one on my list of suspects, assuming that's a one.
That's an I. It's my first initial.
Oh, what's it stand for?
Irene.
Irene Roberta Banks. Okay. I just have a few questions about how the America got stolen on your watch.
I was expecting a cop.
You know what the cops are like.
Yeah, I do. Listen, I'll tell you everything. I gotta make this right. If I lose this job, I'll never get another job in security.
Well, why not?
Do you have any idea how hard it is to get a job in security with the name I Rob Banks?
Fair point. So what happened?
I lost my shirt.
What? In the wash?
No, playing cards with a fancy lady.
Oh. How much money did you lose?
No, my literal shirt. I was playing strip poker.
Oh. How does that connect to losing the statuette?
My shirt had a pocket.
Okay.
My keys were in the pocket. She bluffed me. I had a good hand.
What did she have?
A pair.
Ah. Can you describe her?
Determined, but not cruel.
I meant, what did she look like?
Oh, she was tall. Taller than you, but that might have been the stilettos. Dressed in all red. Black hair. Husky voice. No, sultry.
What about her face?
Never saw it.
What do you mean you never saw it?
She wore a mask. One of those full-face Venetian things. Talk about a poker face.
Thanks for the info. I'll let you know if I have any more questions.
Hope you find her.
I know. You want that statue back.
And my shirt.
Red couldn't take over the city with only capital on his side. He needed to get his people on the city council, and for that he needed voters. He started building his team by going south. You know what the south side is like. Tenements filled with people just trying to get by. But the south side is where the money used to be, and they've never forgiven the north for outclassing them. So they talk about southern pride and heritage and religion, and they resist every single attempt the city's ever made to make their lives better. They pretend their part of the city was built on rugged individualism. It wasn't, of course. It was the city that drained the swamp and paved the roads, but these are people who never let facts get in the way of a good grudge. Their neighborhoods are crumbling, their ward bosses are corrupt, the Capital Group squeezes money out of them, all because they're too proud to get help from the city or even from each other. Team Red plays on their grievances. They blame modernity, they blame the city government, they blame people who move here, they play the victim. And that's how Mr. Red got Mr. Tangerine elected mayor. I don't need to tell you how corrupt Mr. Tangerine was. Or maybe I do. The press chose not to give his corruption the coverage it deserved. When he got voted out, everyone breathed a sigh of relief, but it's not like he went away. Team Red has friends on the city council who are even now working to rig the next election in Tangerine's favor. You look like you don't believe me. I don't blame you. No one really wants to believe what Team Red is up to, especially not the people in Team Red. When I point it out to them, half say that's not the sort of thing we do. The other half say yes, and it's the right thing to do. Nobody likes having it pointed out that they are on the same side as the bad guys. But nobody in this town seems to be doing it. No one in business, no one in politics, no one in the press. And they really should.
Afternoon, Phil.
Sam? A little early for a drink, ain't it?
I'm looking for a woman.
Come back when we're open. I'll introduce you to a few.
A specific woman. Wears a mask.
Like a COVID mask?
No, full face.
Gas mask?
No,
Plague doctor?
no, something Venetian.
Bauta? Volto? Moretta?
Venetian is all I got. And this.
Ah, I know her. Name is Miss Scarlet. She's a entertainer, I guess what you call her.
Scarlet, like the color?
No, Scarlet as in a lot of scars. Burned her face off in a performance art thing.
So the mask.
Yeah, stay away from her. The dame is poison.
No can do. She may know something I gotta know.
Well, be careful. The woman has an appetite for love.
What woman doesn't?
Dames.
Why do you never hear this? Do you really need to ask why Red's plans aren't getting wall-to-wall coverage in the papers? All right. The great and mighty pundits, those wise watchers of politicians, are paid big money to explain to you and me how politics work. That money puts them into the same social class as the politicians they watch. Human beings are inclined to like and trust people who are similar to them. Add in the fact that politicians are very good at telling people what they want to hear. So when Team Red pursues a particularly cruel goal, their politicians will schmooze with the pundits in their social class and reassure them that it's all a game, to impress the rubes who support them. And because those pundits very much want to believe that everything is fine, or that politics is a game, one that will never affect them personally, they choose to believe it and report it. Why do you think everyone was so surprised when they took a hatchet to women's rights? They didn't want to believe it could happen. We're second-class citizens now, which was the goal the whole time. Make it harder for women to lead fulfilling lives, make it easier for circumstances to push them out of public life, reduce the competition for mediocre men so that they may rise. I'm sorry? I suppose I am.
Excuse me, Miss Scarlett?
Yes?
May I talk with you for a moment? I'm from the American Federation of Variety Artists.
Oh yeah?
I'm not here to make you join. No, ma'am. That's not my department. Actually, I'm from the Confidential Committee on Moral Abuses.
Committee on Moral Abuses? Is this some kind of bust?
Yes, ma'am. They're very nice. There's been some reports that your management has been taking liberty with the artists.
I don't know anything about that.
Have you felt yourself to be exploited in any way?
How do you mean, exploited?
You'd be surprised what some people would go through to get a glimpse of a beautiful body.
No, I wouldn't. Whoever you are, you're a bad actor.
How bad?
Plan 9 bad. You lack motivation, your accent is absolutely unplaceable, and you're doing nothing with your body. You're inert and visually uninteresting.
Damn, lady, that's harsh.
Now, if you don't want notes on something else, you better come clean.
All right. I'm a private eye lady. Sam Gouda.
Gouda? Like the cheese?
Yeah, what's it to you?
As it happens, I like my lovers the way I like my cheese. Pale, creamy, and full of bacon bits.
Sorry for the act. I'm usually a pretty straight shooter.
You ever miss?
Never. I just need to ask you a few questions.
Fine.
Where were you last night?
At home, washing my hair.
You need a better alibi than that. Did anyone see you?
Only the neighborhood perverts peeking through my windows, I suppose. I can't stop them looking.
You could buy drapes.
This changes everything. Get to the point, Gouda. I have to get dressed for drape shopping.
The American statuette on display in City Hall got pinched. You've got a witness that's fingered you as a suspect at the scene of the crime.
Pinched. Fingered. Where is your mind, Gouda?
Were you at City Hall last night?
Never heard of the place. Now get out of here before I call the cops.
You know what the cops are like in this town.
Yeah, they like to beat up trespassers. 'Trespassers? 'Trespassers?
Yeah, they do. 'Trespassers? 'Trespassers? Yeah, they do. 'Trespassers? 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 '
Maybe I should have been nicer to Sam, but I didn't trust them. They had reason to believe I was a thief. I certainly wasn't above suspicion. Slamming the door on them didn't make me appear any more innocent. But apart from that, it's gotten to the point where you can't meet new people and make new friends in this town. Team Red is everywhere, trying to keep us apart from each other, trying to destroy trust in our institutions. Look at what they're doing to our neighborhood schools. One of Team Red's capos, Chris Rufo, said that his goal was universal public school distrust. He, more than anyone, is responsible for this weird talk about graduate-level critical race theory being taught to kindergartners. Red wants to control this town someday, and he can't do that if people come out of school able to think for themselves. And as always with Red's people, it's about money. Team Red still has ties to the Capital Group. The capitalists want to turn parents against their schools, get them to defund free public schools, get them to send taxpayer money to for-profit, exclusive, private schools. All this talk about school vouchers and school choice is at heart a way to make rich people richer. The only way they can win is to make public schools seem scary and controversial. That's why they're working with Red. I bet you don't mind if the schools are defunded as long as the police aren't. But remember, when kids don't have a good education, they grow up to be adults without good choices. You like to pretend your job is dangerous. Delivery drivers are more likely to die on the job than cops. But that'll change when this place is full of adults with hopeless lives. You're already outgunned by the criminals in this city. If Red and the Capital Group have their way, you'll be outnumbered, too.
The dame didn't want to talk, but she also didn't want to stay home all night. She stepped out of the house in a fancy red gown and got into a fancy red car. I put my car in gear and followed her.
No matter how well he plans, Red still needs his team to win elections. Otherwise, he doesn't get what he wants. Power. Mayor Tangerine isn't the only candidate that appeals to Team Red. There will be others. I hear cynics say if voting could change anything, it would be illegal. It's because voting can change things that Red's friends on the city council have been working to make certain types of voting illegal. Specifically, the type of voting you get when black and brown people vote. They've always been the victims of Red's schemes and have little love for his team. For years, Red's been warning his team about election integrity. Election integrity, what a joke. Team Red's voter suppression efforts only get support because they themselves have been undermining confidence in our elections. To them, voter fraud just means non-whites are voting. Red's whole plan revolves around privilege, strengthening and maintaining privilege of all kinds. Male privilege, for example. Attacking reproductive rights means women can't have sex without the approval of the men in their lives. Fatherly approval of our prospective husbands, husbands when they set the terms. Politicians and pastors will remind us sex is supposed to produce babies, but they're not going to do anything to make raising children easier, because that's how they maintain the privilege of wealth. Well, if it isn't Sam Gouda.
Miss Scarlett, I thought we could continue our conversation.
I don't think so. I know you're working for Mr. Red.
And I know you stole the America. I can see this as a perfect match for those sequins in your gown. It was found at City Hall in the back room where they store the America.
If you're so sure I stole it, why haven't you turned me into your boss?
Red's not my boss. He's my client. And I haven't turned you in because you did a lousy job of covering your tracks. Anyone but a cop could follow your trail. I think he wanted to be caught, and caught by me.
Who is it? Who is this? It's all right, Blue. This is Sam Gouda. They're a good person. You're a good person, aren't you, Sam?
Yeah, I like to think so. Who's Azib?
This is Mr. Blue. He and Red used to work together. They ran this town on behalf of the Capital Group.
He doesn't look like he could run a lemonade stand.
They split over the fate of the America. Blue's conscience got to him. He didn't like how the city treated the browns and the blacks and the women, anyone who wasn't part of the Capital Group's rich white male club. Red wanted to own America. Blue wanted to give it to the people.
Oh, how selfless. I weep for this champion of the poor. Give me a break. You work for the Capital Group. You don't care about the people of the city any more than Red does. You just want money.
No, I think we can make money. We'll make everyone more money if everyone's involved. But it's not fair to crush people just because of how they're born.
And you thought letting the people own the America would help?
It's a start, Sam.
Sometimes I think there's no limit to what the people should own. But they at least should own their lives. Sometimes the voices say we don't need the Capital Group.
Voices?
Mostly mine. Blue's not a well man. He can't stand on his own. He wants change, but he's afraid of it. I tried to encourage him, but he's worried about losing the last few friends he has in the Capital Group. Most of them are on Red's side at this point.
Ah. The Capital Group was ready to sell the America to Red. You stole it to stop them.
Yes. If Team Red owns America, they will own it forever. Someone had to stop them.
You?
Team Blue, such as it is. We're a real hodgepodge. Kids and old people, doctors and librarians, teachers and entertainers. I can't do much, but I'll do what I can. There is a contract in City Hall that says the people own the statuette. It's never been properly executed, too many loopholes, but it's binding. Blue knows where it is. If we put it before the right judges, the people will own America.
You still broke the law. Good thing you confessed to me instead of letting the cops beat a confession out of you.
Sam, do you understand what's going on? I know Blue is a wreck, and Team Blue is a bunch of misfits that don't really belong together, but Red will wreck this city. Red will destroy you.
He's got nothing on me.
He won't need it. Team Red is all about reinforcing privilege. Men privileged over women, and if you don't have a gender, you don't have a place in his world.
What are you talking about?
Red's protecting and expanding the privileges of being rich and white and male. You can't have male privilege if male and female are changeable, or if some people reject that binary.
What, they're just going to eliminate us?
Yes, from Team Red's point of view, it's a bad thing that people are substantially happier and healthier if they're allowed to live normal lives as their real selves. As far as Team Red is concerned, our identities are determined by a single glance at our genitals just minutes after we're born. That's crazy.
Look, this is just a job.
Damn it, Sam. Think about this. These people can't make anyone's life better. Unless you're rich, then you get all the tax cuts you can eat. Team Blue is a mess, but if Mr. Red gets that statuette, it's the first step in remaking this city into something terrible.
Shit. Are you sure this document giving the America to the people exists?
It exists. I know it. I held it. I memorized it. We the people.
It's real, Sam.
I never liked Red anyway. Give me the statuette. We'll take it to City Hall.
I don't have it here. Go to your office. I'll bring it to you.
All right. Listen, sweetheart. You still committed a crime here. You have to turn yourself in and confess.
I was prepared to do that from the moment I stole the statuette. Blue, I want you to stay here. There's some saltines in your room if you get hungry. Mr. Blue means well, but he's not the best leader when it comes to changing things. He wants more people in the system because he thinks it's more money for him and his few remaining friends in the Capital Group. Getting the capitalists out of the government never seems to occur to him. Still, it will be easier to convince him than to convince Mr. Red. Blue's heart is in the right place. Red has no heart. You know, when you look at them, talk to them, it's hard to believe that the average guy on Team Red really wants to overthrow the government. But they keep voting for people who do. Team Red appeals mostly to older folk, more often men, way more often white. When you get right down to it, Red's people are angry that they're fading. They're not the center of the universe anymore, and they don't like it. They're not young and beautiful and cool anymore, and it's the not being cool part that hurts the most. Am I out of touch, they ask themselves. No, it's the children who are wrong, and they must be punished. These older white men were handed a world in which they had privilege. They didn't have to compete with blacks and women. When Team Blue started saying, let's let people other than white men participate in society, they got worried. And when Team Red told them, we'll keep you on top, they bought it. They flocked to Team Red, never noticing or caring that Red was stealing everything from them. Now they see that young people think they're weird, which they are, and out of touch, which they are. That makes them even madder. So mad, they're willing to burn everything down. In my less charitable moments, I think they're too dumb to know how good they had it. If they burn everything down in a generational temper tantrum, they burn themselves down too. Their victory parade will march down an avenue of ashes, and their victory celebrations will be held in the grave. But then I am myself again. I remember that these people deserve better. I just don't know how to get them to want better. I don't know how to explain to them that they should care about other people, and that we all do better when we all do better. Sam?
Yeah, come on in.
Here it is, as promised.
Oh. Let's have a look at it. So much fuss over this one little thing.
It's a symbol, Sam.
I don't know.
See, now this is why I'm trying to push women out of public life.
I always knew you were a woman hater.
I don't like you, Red.
You think I don't know that? Most people hate me and my team.
Then you can never win.
Not in a fair contest, but then winning fair and square is for losers.
That doesn't make any sense.
Gouda, keep your dame quiet.
You're a real gentleman, Red.
I don't like uppity dames. The dames on my team know their place.
They wouldn't if they knew your plan.
They're all on board. This place could have had its first woman in charge, but all my dames went for Mr. Tangerine. No matter how bad me and my team make it for our women, other women will be hurt worse. Getting them under control is what matters.
God damn. No wonder everyone under 40 hates you.
They don't matter. They don't vote.
They might start.
By the time they start voting, it'll be too late. We've seen how they keep democracy under control in other places.
Places like that are usually shitholes.
Maybe, but they've shown us how to keep voting from changing anything. We will improve on their example, crush opposition while bringing up a new generation, one that will support us.
So you're going to copy this controlled democracy? Keep folks in their 20s and 30s down? While your schools churn out a new generation of fascists?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Can't hide something like that. People are going to figure out what you're doing.
We're not hiding it. It's not a complicated plan. We're doing all this out in the open. What my team offers is simple. A strong people needs to be ruled by strong men.
And that's you guys, huh?
Right.
If you want to know what I think, all I see on your side is a bunch of fat racists. The strongest defenders of the so-called white race are always the worst examples of it.
Now, why would you think that I care what you think?
History will not judge you well.
Oh no, you mean someone who isn't alive yet will hate me after I'm dead? They can piss on my grave for all it matters to me. I'm getting what I want right now. That statue.
You got lucky. You happened to come by my office at the right moment.
Not at all. I had you followed by one of my loyal teammates. Miss Betty, dear, won't you come in?
I'm right here, Mr. Red.
Betty is a promising young woman, absolutely devoted to making this city great again. Someone her generation would emulate if they knew it was good for them.
I don't know who you are, but after all his team has done against women, you're on his side?
Oh, Mr. Red makes me feel better. I think there's too many weird people. And there was this one time, an immigrant talked back to me at the grocery store. Mr. Tangerine and Mr. Red, they understand me.
Mrs. Betty, you can't say you don't know what they'll do to this place if you put him back in charge. Look what happened every time they got a taste of power.
Oh, I know, but we hate the same things, so we've got that in common. And they have simple, common sense solutions to all of our problems. Build the wall, cut taxes, drill for babies.
That's drill, baby, drill.
Have you listened to them? They won't fix anything. They'll kill people. They'll take away freedoms. They'll make all of us poor.
I'm already poor, but at least I can own as many guns as I want.
You're willing to let the world burn rather than let other people breathe free.
Mr. Red says global warming is a hoax.
Mr. Red will wreck the world before your kids get to have their own kids.
All right, Gouda, you've said enough.
You filled this woman's head with lies and nonsense.
I just told her what she wanted to hear. That's how I win people over. Promise them they will never, ever have to undergo any kind of personal growth.
You're treating them like children.
Children today have it too easy.
That's the point, Red. We're here to make the world better, not to make our kids suffer what we did.
Let them suffer. It will teach them to obey.
Is that what you want? A world in which future generations are barely hanging on?
That's what keeps people in line, Mix Gouda. The risk of losing it all.
You're doing all this so her grandkids will be your servants.
I don't care about her grandkids. I just want money and power. And it starts with you handing me that statuette before I shoot you. Or should the first bullet be for the dame?
Red! Thank you, Mrs. Betty. To what do I owe the honor?
Well, I don't have grandkids yet, but I'm willing to do anything for them. Even let other people have rights.
Yikes.
You two have a nice night now.
I thought you never missed.
I don't.
I'm scared, Sam. What if he comes back?
Men like him always come back. It's up to all of us to stop them.
I'm scared, Sam. What if he comes back? Men like him always come back. It's up to all of us to stop them. Fade out. So what did you think?
It's hard to put into words.
Thrilling? Ambitious? Gripping?
Long. Preachy.
Preachy?
Yeah, it's kind of on the nose. Well, your bad guy. I mean, he's such a stereotype.
It's an allegory. Never mind. Was there anything you liked?
I like the floozy. She kind of reminded me of you.
Oh, because I'm sensual and mysterious?
No, because she's a complete slut. Also, I like the main character. I like how you didn't make a big deal out of them being non-binary.
There was no reason to. You know, when I was younger, I thought I might be non-binary.
Really? What made you think that?
I have a deep voice, broad shoulders, and before the Blanchard incident, a somewhat androgynous face.
Interesting. How did you decide you weren't?
Well, once I was living on my own and made my own style choices, I went pretty hard femme. Frills, mini dresses, short skirts, bikinis, tight clothes to show off my curves.
Yep. You are the perfect floozy.
Can we go back to critiquing the screenplay?
Why? I kind of enjoy antagonizing you.
You are so difficult.
That's the best critique I could hope for.
Oh! What are you doing?
Nothing?
The front desk got a call. What did I ask you not to do?
Don't startle the guests.
And what did you do?
I startled the guests.
You're my sister, and I love you. But you've got to restrain these childish impulses.
Childish? Childish would be throwing a tantrum. I'm just being playful.
Playful. As smart as you are, and you're spending your time scaring people.
I'm not smart, I just read a lot. Even if I were smart, the greater the mind, the greater the need for the simplicity of play.
You don't play simple games. The ones you play take weeks.
That's not true. Yes, it is.
I'll just say this. We're getting more guests. I think the hotel has a chance to recover. So, would you kindly not alarm the guests?
Okay.
Thank you.
Somebody got in trouble.
Shut up. When I was a little girl, I didn't care for much children's TV. It seemed a little condescending to me, and I was impatient to grow up. Instead, I watched a lot of older shows, thanks to a low-budget independent TV station in our area. This quirky little channel, with its regular supply of out-of-date and even public domain offerings, was my introduction to film noir. Why would a little girl watch film noir of all things? Because of the femme fatale. Like I said, I was impatient to grow up. Most children's programming had child protagonists. I was already focused on what sort of adult I wanted to be. I saw that in the femme fatale. The femme fatale stood out. Unlike other women in those older shows, she had her own wishes, desires, and goals, unconnected to any men in her life. She's independent and ambitious. As a child, I did not pick up on the subtext that, in a patriarchal society, a woman with ambition is a threat to men. All I saw was a glamorous woman living for herself. That's what I wanted to be. In too many films of the genre, when a woman is glamorous or sexy, she is luring men to their dooms. Of course, the films were usually structured so that such wicked women eventually got what was coming to them. Some of that was no doubt due to the Hays Code, a series of guidelines for self-censorship to which studios adhered at the time. The Hays Code mandated that criminal activity lead to punishment, no matter how hot the criminal. Not all femmes fatales were criminals, but I didn't hold it against them if they were. As a teen, I learned that in the early 40s, a lot of women got good jobs because so many men were overseas fighting fascists. Then the men came home, and those women lost their jobs. It wasn't fair. Once I realized that, I loved the femme fatale even more. As an adult, I began to appreciate how the femme fatale of film noir reflected male fears of independent women. Such fears date back centuries, millennia. Femme fatale archetypes can be found in mythologies from around the world. An independent woman does what she wishes to do without being concerned about male permission. When she goes to school or to work, she is not husband shopping, nor looking for marks to scam. When she is glamorous or sexy, it is because she feels like being that way at that moment, not because she's entrapping men. Since the Dobbs decision killed abortion rights a few months ago, let me expand on that last point. An independent woman is in control of her sexuality and claims ownership of her own body and appearance. She does not need a man's permission to be what she wants or look how she wants. But a woman making her own choices is political in a way that men making their own choices is not. And women are sexualized in ways that men are not. Feminine charm is not a trap for men, but men are the ones who choose to see a trap. Moreover, men allow themselves to be ensnared in feminine plots created by their masculine imaginations. Which brings me to another fictional female related to the femme fatale, the crazy bitch. Another thing I learned from studying history was that, like the femme fatale, the crazy bitch has historical roots. Victorian-era newspapers often ran sensational articles about inexplicable female violence, put down to hysteria. In 1895, the New York Times published an article on pistol-packing ladies on bicycles. In 1907, the Cleveland Plain Dealer startled readers with tales of women stabbing men with their hatpins. What could possibly drive women to violence was the question in the air. Women's rights activists knew the answer. While most men were perfectly decent fellows, too many of them looked on women with predatory eyes and acted on their worst impulses. What we think of as the classic femme fatale emerged from the gritty films noir of the 40s and 50s, but her daughters populate a great deal of our culture today. Since my first contact with those old films on that weird little TV station, I've wanted to play the part of a glamorous, mysterious, possibly dangerous lady. Maybe I will someday, and if I get to play that part and you see me, whistle for me. You know how to whistle, don't you? You just put your lips together and